Yeah, I will. Take care of it. Yes, I will.
Yeah, I covered it when I was at
That was quite a turnout. Holy cow.
P. That was for boys basketball.
Okay.
So,
And there were 2 or 3 sports I did it for.
yeah.
But I'd never, he sent me the research and I was a little bit confused, but I got it once
Yeah.
I sat down.
Yeah.
I figured you'd have to have been one of the only other person in this room
Yeah.
who'd ever experienced
Most
it,
people,
so,
most people have no idea what it's about. So,
yeah. I just don't want the hate guns to come in all.
Thank you.
Do you have the executive memo
who's gonna have to
for Dave Shields? I don't know. Do you normally read those?
No, Jeff.
Okay. All right. Then never mind.
Okay.
Going, oh, please don't let me do that to somebody. Okay.
Oh, really? There you go. Transform it.
Smells water here.
I just heard you talking.
Hello?
And
Oh.
I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies close. Keep your enemies close.
That's right.
Something I should do?
No.
They're in the bathroom.
This bathroom?
Yep, in the towel.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Figured
wow.
somebody should probably look for those.
Yeah,
That's in the
probably.
Yeah.
Facilities, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody here?
A leaf, probably, or,
Yeah, somebody.
okay.
I didn't have a chance to respond to your email. Space Am, I mean, just.
Oh.
Police union.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're good?
Yeah, yeah, real good, yeah.
Great response.
Yeah, very, that's all resolved, yeah. Yeah, I told Chris today that I was with the city manager of Peoria, asking about their economic development director. He confirmed they offered it to Kyle, he turned it down. He said he thought about it for a while, came back, said, I just decided I don't wanna leave here. I'm like, well,
You may regret that decision.
so that they're actually going back out. So if things don't work out here, that still might be available for him. Mhm.
So you're right. So,
Yep.
thinks he's got horses or doesn't.
I get that.
Or doesn't
I
understand.
don't know. Whether maybe they'll offer. I said, did they lowball him or something? And Patrick says, I don't think so. Now, Scott Sorrell was standing there. He's the county administrator, and he said, well, one of my county board chairs on there, and he goes, if he had anything to do with it, it was a lowball. So,
We know those.
yeah.
In your conversation about the property,
Yeah.
why don't you also bring up the other houses?
Okay.
It's for sale, so I can squash that. And maybe the houses.
Okay. Help. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
You know, I thought about that.
Yeah.
There's no danger of
Right. More than likely.
and
Right. Yeah, okay.
Let's do this. Call to order a regular meeting for the Normal Town Council for September 18th, 2017. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mr. Fritzen?
Here.
Mr. McBride?
Here.
Mrs. Cummings?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before going to the omnibus agenda, we've had two requests for public comment. The first from Ron Ulmer. So, Ron, if you want to come up.
Thank you. I am Ron Ulmer, a Normal resident. I do not want to see any employees early retired or terminated in any way, nor do I want any taxpayer-valued services cut or eliminated. And I have one question. Will this early retirement increase the town's future pension liability, and has it been factored into the net cost savings? With the huge state and federal budget deficits, internet sales that avoid local sales tax, State Farm no longer adding employees, and fewer people employed in McLean County in recent years, who could not have foreseen a decline in the tax revenue for local governments? Did the simultaneous consideration of rehabbing the old TV sanitarium with numerous health, safety, and functional problems while considering to tear down the modern and functional City Hall annex ever make sense? Are either of these two projects essential to delivering taxpayer value public goods and services? What is the value to the town's commitment to a long-term lease of the second floor of the building under construction, paying the highest local per square foot office rental rate just to complete building on Uptown Circle? Government budget problems are primarily caused by spending, and frequently on projects that the government has little, if anything, to do with providing public valued goods and services that are the basis for the creation of governments. As you may recall, the temporary state income tax from 3% to 5% several years ago, state debt increased because state spending increased by a greater amount than the incremental tax. Thank you.
And Mark Tiratilli is also asked to speak.
Good evening. Mark Tiratilli. I live at 1212 Timber Ridge Court here in Normal. Thank you for having me tonight. I wanted to take a moment and shout out one of the town's staff. I know the council does that quite often, but I think it's totally appropriate that citizens do. We had a missed recycling pickup last week, and I emailed Danny Edwards, waste supervisor, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. We had a substitute driver. I'll make sure somebody gets out there tomorrow." And by golly, they did, and all the residents had their recycling picked up. So it was a great job. I mean, he could have just said, "Hey, we got a schedule, and just try and hang out to next week." But he was very courteous, professional, went out of his way to make something right, as you would expect in business. So shout out for that. Thank you. I did want to comment on the closed session. A little surprised to hear about property acquisition in light of all the discussion about budget commentary. So I don't know if this is something to put off property acquisition or if it's upcoming. I would hope that we're not acquiring more property. If it's about the county building, McLean County is worried about maintenance costs that are totaling $14,000 a year. It's really minuscule. Why they're worried about that? The cost to tear it down would pay for 20 years of maintenance. I would rather see the town just support the county for $14,000 a year than try to acquire that property that's said to require up to $17 million in renovations. So I hope we're not talking about that. If it's about south of the tracks, I know we had money budgeted, about $600,000 this year, but it seems like that would be a prime area to cut back. All of that development for housing down there is, the proof of concept is one Uptown Circle, which hasn't even been fully sold yet. The latest studies show millennials are buying houses just like every other generation. We weren't planning on that before, so I hope it's not for down there. If it's some other area, Our track record is not so good. We bought properties and sold them at huge losses. We've got properties that we so far in a hole when we start with the subsidies, we don't turn profits on it. And if the town acquires more property, that's gonna take it off the tax rolls. That's gonna hurt Unit 5. They're under enough pressure as it is. We just saw the lead reports. 5 schools are now having to face lead abatement in the drinking water. I'm going, if we wanna partner with Unit 5 and benefit the underprivileged people in this community, let's find a way to support their maintenance costs and getting those situations remedied. I think that's gonna be far more effective use of partnership dollars there. So, basically, I'm hoping that we're not looking at acquiring significant amounts of new property here. I would urge the council to consider those factors if that's indeed the discussion. So again, thank you for your time. Look forward to a nice meeting.
We now move on to the omnibus agenda, items that are considered routine and will be handled by one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. And I would like to pull an item. I'd like to be excused from voting on any bills I may have incurred in my duties as mayor.
Did we do the pledge? It was asked.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought we did.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Items considered under the omnibus agenda tonight are approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 5th, 2017, and approval of town of Normal expenditures for payment as of September 13th, 2017. A resolution to award the bid for water treatment plant 18-inch valve replacement project to G.A. Rich & Sons at a total cost of $162,100, and an ordinance amending section 15.6-19C of the zoning code, reflecting permitted uses in the M1 restricted manufacturing district. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The omnibus agenda is approved. 2 items of general orders tonight. The first, a resolution authorizing the execution of a stipulated agreement number 1961 with the Illinois Commerce Commission to permanently eliminate the Maple Hill Road crossing of the Norfolk Southern Railroad.
Move approval.
Second.
Questions or discussions on this item? Ms. Cummings?
Can you clarify for us just a little bit? We see that there's going to be a $10,000 expense incurred. Can you kind of talk about what that expense is and to what degree, if any, of the incentive money will cover that portion of it? And would it even be a benefit for that incentive money?
Why don't I defer to Mr. Aldrich? He's familiar with the details of that project.
Yes, the $10,000, that was an estimate of what work the town would need to do to actually close the crossing. So what we'd need to do, according to the agreement, is there's on the White Oak Road side, if you're familiar with it, we would have to take out the pavement and then take all that dirt out, you know, from under the pavement and reestablish the ditch there. So it would look as if there wasn't, you know, a road there. On the other side, where there still exists an old road bed, we would still remove some pavement, and then on that side, put up signage and barriers to officially close the road in accordance with standards. So, again, that's kind of an estimate number. I'm not sure that we'd reach that $10,000 point. But the Norfolk Southern Railroad, in the agreement with them, would directly give us up to $5,000 for those treatments, especially the barriers and road closure treatments. And then part of I think the Norfolk Southern is also giving us $15,000 to close the crossing. I don't think there's any strings attached to that money, so that money could be applied to any expenses that the town would incur to close the crossing. The money from the Illinois Commerce Commission is different. That goes directly into our motor fuel tax fund, and so that can only be spent on eligible motor fuel tax roadway projects.
Thank you.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The resolution is approved. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing a voluntary separation incentive for certain classified employees.
Approval. Second.
Discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That resolution is approved. 2 items of new business tonight. First is a motion to approve an appointment to the Planning Commission.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. As this is an item of personnel, there will be no discussion unless a council member would like to take this to executive session. Seeing no such request, please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The motion is approved. Mr. Fritzen, would you read that appointment?
Yes, pleased to welcome Dave Shields to the Planning Commission to fill the vacancy created when Ms. Arlene Hosea left the Planning Commission to become a member of the Normal Township Board. Mr. Shields will fill the remainder of Ms. Hosea's term set to expire March 31st, 2019. Dave's a longtime member of the community, most recently moved to his home in Normal in 2011. He's currently employed at State Farm Insurance, where he's been employed for over 35 years and works in strategic resources. Mr. Shields is a 2015 graduate of the Multicultural Leadership Program and also served on the town's 2040 Vision Committee. In recent years, Mr. Shields has been active in the community, volunteering with Not in Our Town and Illinois State University's Friends of the Arts. So welcome, Dave, to the Planning Commission.
Welcome. Our next item is a request to adjourn to executive session, but before taking that request, are there comments or concerns? Mr. McCarthy?
I just want to share an experience as a citizen of the town of Normal and give a big heartfelt thank you to the Normal Fire Department. Last Tuesday evening on my way home, I found my 90-year-old neighbor laying in the front yard, and she had taken a bad fall and was there and was in quite a bit of pain, and made a quick call to 911. Never been on that side of town services before, and in less than 3 short minutes, up rolls the town of Normal. And although I can't remember exactly how many guys got out of the rigs, the 2 rigs that showed up, there seemed to be about 6 or 8 of them. A very confused, very upset 90-year-old woman was taken care of amazingly well and amazingly professionally, and just a big personal, heartfelt thank you to the Normal Fire Department for an amazing, outstanding job that they did and how fast they did it. So thanks, Chief.
Other comments or concerns? A motion to adjourn to executive session under Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act concerning the purchase of real property for use by the town of Normal.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. We are adjourned to executive session.